How to fix your high school reputation. These tips are going to be so important if you feel like your high school reputation right now is in the dumps or not accurate or not what you want it to be. So stay tuned for some tips on how to fix your high school reputation right now. Hey, it's Abby J, your life coach, and today we're talking about the importance of your reputation and how to fix your reputation if it is not what you want it to be. This tip comes from thinking about high school and thinking about like what problems you face. And I remember thinking like, what is my reputation and am I proud of it? And is it something that I want to fix? And I actually had, my brother, some friends who had to do some damage control to fix their reputations before they graduated. So let's go through these tips so that you don't have to do some damage repair so much as you can proactively fix the reputation that you are having in high school. So first tip, first and foremost, you have got to figure out what is your reputation. And I don't mean what you think your reputation is. I think you should write that down. Like, I think people think I'm a bad girl, or that I'm, something that I'm not, or that I am a cheat, or that I am a player, all those things, right? I think people say this, and then you need to go to your bestie. You need to go to somebody that you really trust. You need to see if you can do a little bit of just observing to see what other people think about you. And it's really hard because most people won't tell you directly, but you can start to see it through their actions, right? You can start to see it through maybe people who are really close to you and love you the most, and they'll be able to say, well, yeah, one time, I was talking to friends about how we hung out, and they said, oh, Abby, that the girl that's a player, or that girl that made out with all those boys, or I don't know, whatever your reputation can be in high school, you can start to do a little bit of research in a very high level way of what it actually seems to be. Okay, tip number 2 is once you've identified what, you think your reputation is, if you're right in that, or if it's something else completely, you need to identify the events that earned you that reputation. So this might be really clear, saying something okay, I even hate to use these words because I never feel like shaming anybody, but, and they're negative words, but it's a reputation you could have. So if you're a girl and you have this reputation for being really sleazy, right? Or being, I don't even want to say a slut, but, because that's an awful word. But you know what I mean. Well, you could think back to yourself and say, well, it's because I kissed 3 guys in the same day, or it's because, people don't understand the relationship that I had with this guy, or they think that I was dating this guy when I was really dating this guy, right? Just think through why would people think that I'm a bad girl, or why would people think I had this reputation for being a goth? And that's because I wore Nightmare Before Christmas, and I had fire engine red hair, and I loved what I loved, and I wore my heart on my sleeve. And if you find yourself in that situation where you write these down and you're like, hey, I have that reputation because I love what I love, then you shouldn't worry about changing your reputation. You should be totally true to who you are. But if you feel like your reputation isn't something you want or doesn't accurately describe you, then yes, we need to fix it. So identify, 2, figure out the events or circumstances or things that you're doing that have earned you that reputation, so we can move on to tip number 3. Tip number 3 is to take drastic action to change your reputation. So you've identified the events that you are doing, have done, which led to this reputation, and you need to take drastic action to correct it. So maybe it's a completely false assumption that something happened. You need to go to your group of friends, those involved, and say, hey, I've heard that there's this rumor about me that I did this thing, or was dating this person, or cheated on this, or some whatever, and I want you to know that's absolutely not true, and this is what really happened. That might be your solution to taking drastic action, right? Or your drastic action might be like, hey, I've been a little bit of a player and I'm gonna take a step back from the dating scene, right? Or I'm gonna cool my jets. Taking drastic action is something that you can start to do the moment that you decide your reputation in high school isn't what you want it to be. And now that you've had, you're very educated, you know what your reputation is, you know what led up to it. So now do everything that you can to reverse that or to put your best foot forward moving forward, because guess what? We all make mistakes. Totally. And sometimes we shouldn't even care what other people think about us, but sometimes it's really important to correct false assumptions or to correct things that we're doing that aren't awesome. So take this time to take massive action and put your best foot forward. That's how I view this tip, as like, okay, made mistakes in the past and I'm moving forward today. Tip number 4 is so vitally important to repairing your reputation. To repairing your reputation in high school. And it's this, to repair your relationships. So often, reputations come from damaged relationships, right? There's a friend that we burned, or there's, a relationship that severed, or, things that happened that you aren't really proud of. And so do everything that you can to repair those relationships. So I know that my brother had a reputation for being a player, and before he graduated high school, he didn't want that reputation. He didn't want to feel like he had wronged these girls in any way. And so he actually went to every single one of them individually, like either took them out for a treat. I think some of them he showed up at their house and he just sat them down and talked to them and said, hey, I know that, our relationship didn't work out, but I want you to know I think you're incredible. And I was like a stupid boy. Or on some of them he said, I want you to know I wasn't actually dating this girl at the time that we were dating, So take some time to repair those relationships, and it's hard. It requires bravery, it requires courage, it requires humility. But if you're serious about changing your high school reputation, then you need to see what damages have been done to your relationships and repair them. And tip number 5, which is so important to repairing your high school reputation, is to be diligent. So now that you've had a change of heart, and now that you are getting serious about the reputation that you want to leave, and when you run into old friends from high school, you want them to think like, oh, Abby was so amazing, right? You got to be diligent about that change. You have got to be committed to it, because the moment you slip up and make that same mistake, or say something stupid, or do something that was like your old self, that reputation that got you that reputation, is the moment that you just reverse so much of the work that you've already done. Because people are totally willing to move past, they're totally willing to forgive, they're totally willing to take your words at face value as long as they can see progress and change. But if you, go to, in that example of, a guy that's a player, go to a girl, tell her you're so sorry and that you hope you can be amazing friends. Well, if she hears next week that you burned her girlfriend, like, everything that you just did to repair that relationship is awful, didn't really work. And so be diligent in the change that you want to see in your reputation. Okay, I just blasted you with 5 tips on how to repair your high school reputation. And I hope that these tips really resonated with you and that you've got some ideas on how you are going to start to repair the reputation that you have at high school. So leave me a comment down below on what you're going through. If you feel like you have a question about any of these tips, I would love to know what's going on in your life. And if you want to be coached, you can go to my Instagram, which is Abby Winslow, or shoot me an email, which I've got listed down below, that you can reach me. So best of luck to you. High school can be a very brutal and amazing time of your life. And so I am wishing you the best of luck in repairing your relationship, because it really is important that when you're out of high school, you feel good about the person that you were and the person that you're becoming. And that's what my channel is all about. So if you like this video, please subscribe so you can get more videos on personal development and growing into the person that you want to become and navigating young adulthood with extreme joy. That's what my channel is all about. So thank you for watching. I cannot wait to see you in my next video. Abby J out.